Hello, everybody, and welcome to this latest in the ValuesJam deep dive conversation series. It's not easy to say that, you know. And this month in February, as Valentine's is going to be with us, we are exploring the topic of love. And I feel very privileged actually to be having a conversation about love with you guys because it's not a topic that we talk about readily, and it's not even a word that we use that readily, actually, especially in business. So it'll be interesting to see where this conversation goes today. And to start us off, I found a music track that I thought I'd share with you. And so this will take about 4 minutes, but it'll give you the chance to, it's not really to meditate, but really get into this topic of love. So while you're listening to this music track, just think about times when you've felt love or you've given love or people in your life that you have loved or do love, or perhaps if you've got future inclinations to love. You never know. So let's see where this goes. I'm going to share my screen and find the track, and then I'll ask you just to think about love and what it means for you.
We're having a hard time hearing it, Alan.
Say it again, Randy.
Having a hard time hearing it.
Okay, let me
The whole world addicted to the drama, only attracted to things that
let me give that another go then. Thank you for saying so, because we didn't want to get to the end and you haven't heard it. So let's have another go.
Yeah, it could be a bandwidth issue because it was just a little bit garbled.
Okay.
Step into Wix.
So let me just go onto YouTube and stop this now. Hi, Shaq, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Okay, good. So I've managed to stop that. That's good. That song, you know, I don't know what it is, but it makes me kind of emotional. And I really don't know what it is, but Shaq, we're going to be talking about the topic of love today, and that was an introduction to give people a chance to kind of just to think about times when they felt or given love, people that they either have loved, do love, maybe will love, and just to think about love more generally. And the question that I'm going to ask to start our conversation I'll ask shortly. But before I do that, please don't feel the need to immediately respond today in this conversation, okay? In our normal conversations, that is the temptation and that is the pressure often for us to feel that we have to join in immediately. Resist that temptation, please. And if you feel an emotion rising in you, be curious about it and ask yourself why you're feeling what you're feeling. And when you've had the chance to play with that for a bit, if you feel that you want to say something, then please do. If you don't want to say something, then that's absolutely cool. Silence is also fine while we're all thinking and contemplating. And you'll find that what will happen is that the conversation will kind of develop in a group collective way rather than the normal you say something, I say something, you say something next. The other thing I would ask you to do, please, if you could have a go, and I say have a go because this will not come very naturally, is to when you make a contribution, when you say something, please detach yourself from it. Don't feel that you own what you said. And similarly, when you hear something said, don't attach it to the person that has just said it. Because what we don't want to do is, for instance, Susan and Randy start a conversation between the two of them. This is very much us as a group together. So let's just go with that. There's no right way and no wrong way. So whatever happens will happen. But the question that we'll start with, you might have guessed it already from the track that we listened to, and it is this: where is the love?
So I'll start. It has to start with us. I mean, that's the only place that it can start. If it's not there, someone's not going to pour it into you. You have to own it. You have to feel it. It has to grow within you. Because if it's not in you, then you're not starting with love. I mean, to me, there are only two emotions in the world: love and fear. And if the love isn't in you, that's probably a whole nother conversation in itself. But where is the love? It's in the human. It's not a coat we wear. It's an inner energy. That's hard to say. And Alan, I know you so well, and you know that I can talk about anything, but it's just, these jams are always so deep.
When you ask the question, oh, sorry, Randy, did you want to go?
Go ahead.
So when you ask the question, of course, I closed my eyes because I was like trying to remember the feeling of when it just was, like where it was just, where I didn't even think about love. And when I didn't think about love, it was already easy, right? When I was little. And so my head went into the clouds, and I went into the laying on the grass, and just like when I didn't think about love, because it just was, and it just was part of everything I saw and did and felt. And so then I detached, and I was like, ooh, when did the love get hurt? And then when did it come back? And I kind of went through that, but it's always in the clouds with me, because, and it's funny, like I did this subconsciously, but I put the clouds in my newsletter yesterday, because that's where the love is. Like, I just remember that feeling, and I have the love again, but I remember losing the love. I remember losing the ease of the love. And the ease of the love was when I was young. It was so easy because I didn't think about it. It just was. It was already in me. So.
So I've thought about this a lot. For me, I had a friend of mine who kept asking me, "What does kindness mean? What does it mean in kindness?" I'm bringing up kindness because kindness and love are inseparably connected. They're inseparably connected. And he says, so I hear kindness, and kindness is just kind of weak and squishy for me. And I said to him, I said, well, okay, so here's a definition for you. For me, kindness is love in action, which embraces every behavior by which we show value and appreciation for ourselves and for others. Mm-hmm. And then I put it back to him. So we know in business and in life, our success is directly dependent on our ability to build relationships with other people. So if you can't build relationships, you're going to have a tough time doing anything in business or in life, in reality. And so then we have to ask ourselves, okay, what are the behaviors that are conducive to building good relationships? Well, respect, he says. I said, okay, if I show respect for you, am I showing value and appreciation for you? Well, yes. Is that weak or strong? Well, it's strong because without it, can't build a relationship. And then I went through several other words. The fact is, when we embrace and show values or embrace behaviors that show value and appreciation for other people, what we're really doing is helping them to feel loved. They may not see it that way or think about it that way, but every time we give kindness, we're delivering love to people. We're delivering caring, empathy. All those things are what is love in action. And when people feel valued and appreciated, they're feeling love. There's not anybody on this earth that doesn't need to love and be loved. And so I feel like the love is all around, opportunities for love. The love is all around us. It's a matter of whether or not we're going to take it and put it into action through kindness. There's opportunities everywhere, everywhere. We can find them every day if we're willing to put our, what I say, Mike, put our kindness antennas up in the air and just look around. We can, when we're intentionally looking for it, it's amazing how many things we can see that we can do to put kindness into act, or to put love into action through kindness. So.
Just listening to that last point about love and kindness makes me think about whether love sets itself too high a bar in some ways, because you can be, I think most people, if you said to them, oh, come on, be kind to that stranger, they would say, okay, yeah, I can do that. But then if you said, show love to that stranger, maybe people wouldn't be so comfortable with that. And so there's something about love being a high bar. I know it is for me. I don't know what it's like for you guys, but it's kind of, it's almost verging on a holy word. And I'm not a religious person.
So, Alan, what that makes me feel is that makes it unattainable. So for me, I can tell a stranger I love them when I hug them in an airport, just because my personality feels they need to know they're loved. And so I think that it's an experience thing where we've thought of love. Maybe to Susan's point, when you have it and then you lose it, and then you have it and then you lose it, maybe it becomes this pedestal. For me, love is life. I am love. So every interaction I have is loving. And so if I put it on a pedestal and said, only my husband gets my love, or only my daughter gets my love, then it's unattainable for the stranger that cut me off in traffic. It's like, okay, you needed to get first. You know? I mean, it's a way of living for me sometimes. It's less a unattainable thing, but it's like breath for me.
Mhm.
Think about what you just, oh, go ahead, Susan. It's okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say that unattainable thing, it's the expectations. And I think that's what happened at some point. And then when I let go of the expectations, the love just now, it's like, whew, but it used, and that's why when you're young, you don't have any expectations. You're just kind of, it just is. And so it's a healing when you start to put expectations on love, then it becomes that feeling of a pedestal or unattainable. But when you let go of the expectations and start accepting as is, now it's like it flows. That's what it feels like to me.
And that's a
And
great feeling when it's flowing.
Shaq, we were saying at the beginning, I'm not sure if it was before you arrived, but it's in these sessions, it's quite okay to listen. And some people that just listen and don't say anything actually get more out of it than those people that are talking. But is there anything that you'd like to say at this stage? And it's fine if
Yeah, I was just listening. I was just paying attention and following directions. They say, love to me is automatic. It's when we put our human expressions and our human experiences into the places when things become subjective and they become catered with conditions. Love for me is something that you were born with. It cannot be excluded because when we breathe is love. When we walk is love. To be appreciated is love. When you can accept the person for who they are, that's love. Regardless of your expectations and how you view them, we are all different. When you start putting your expectations and your conditions and your emotions and if you don't do this, then I don't love you. That is not love. This is your human experiences, your human feelings. But what you are is what you are. When I walk away from you, that's love. Because it's showing you tough love. It shows that you can do something. But if I'm standing here, then you're going to act in another way. I don't have to be around you. Me teaching you how to do something is love. Me showing you how to, that's love. Where is love? It has been overshadowed by human emotions. It has been overshadowed by conditions and your past experiences and your pain. That's where love is. It's underneath all of that. Pain stands for paying attention is necessary. So when you learn how to you better, when you learn how to love you better and accept you for who you are, you can love the next person. And I live my life.
Hey, that's great. I mean, that goes right along with what PJ was saying. You know, when I was a little boy, I learned a song. And I am religious. This was in a prayer song that sang my church. I want to be kind to everyone, for that is right where you see. So I say to myself, remember this, kindness begins with me. I have to remember that, like it's already been brought up, I have to love myself. I have to care about myself in order to be able to fully give love to other people. I mean, that's been my experience. If I'm not feeling good about me, it's really hard to reach out and be kind and feel good about other people. And it's also, I have my little logo up here, behind me for the kindness habit. Embrace intentional kindness, and it says see, think, feel, and act. How we see other people. I loved what PJ said. I want to say Joy because you call yourself the Joy Owl. PJ said about being at the airport. She saw that person for someone of value. Has any, and I apologize, I'm going to try to make this brief, but have any of you ever seen the movie Hook with Robin Williams? That it's about Peter Pan having grown up and has become a lawyer and a businessman. And anyway, he has to go back to Neverland because his daughter and son get kidnapped by Captain Hook, who wants revenge on him for cutting off his hand and throwing it to the alligator and all that stuff. There's one point in there, Peter gets back. He can't remember him being Peter Pan. He can't remember any of that stuff. He goes back and he's among the lost boys, and there's this one little boy who comes up to him and grabs his face and is sitting there. He's looking at it, he's pulling on his face, and then he finally looks at it and says, "Oh, Peter, there you are." And he sees him. He sees Peter Pan, and him seeing Peter for who he was helps Peter to start remembering his previous experiences. The only reason I bring that up is love sometimes, like Shaq was saying has been overshadowed because of labels, because of whatever, because of various experiences, other things like that. We have a hard time seeing people, as human beings who deserve to be valued and appreciated. You know, we've gotten to a point where we dehumanize each other in so many ways. You know, I label Shaq as black, or I label Joy as white, or I label Alan as English, or, you know, not that those things aren't part of our life, but when we start seeing each other as the labels that we give each other rather than as the human beings, the beautiful human beings that deserve to be valued and appreciated, that's when it becomes so easy to throw love out the window and forget about love. And that's why this discussion we're having is so important.
I think the value comes from the voices we heard in our childhood and the biases that we're taught when we're little. Because to Susan's point, we're born with love. And then how are we nurtured? Are we nurtured that English people are not to be loved because they're on the other side of the world? You know, they're foreigners. Foreigners are bad. I mean, is that the voice that we are given when we're little? Or is it everyone you meet is a soul on a journey and they're here to be loved? And so much of where love is starts from our parents and our biases that are given to us, the voices that we hear when we're little, that narrative carries over with us. And for people who are not strong enough to change that narrative, sometimes they don't even know they're being the way they are.
It's experiences for me. Me being a Black woman, I can't say I've experienced anything where I can blatantly say I've been treated unfairly. I can't say that. And I know there are a lot of us who can say that, but I take situations and I individualize them. I don't compartmentalize them. I can't do that because it's not true for everybody. And just because a situation may happen to you doesn't mean it's going to happen to me. So I can't take your opinion and cover it for this. I can't do that. Love for me is a strength to be strong enough to be weak, to say, regardless of whatever's going on, I still gotta love you. Because why? I gotta give grace. Nobody's gonna ever be top 10. No, gotta give grace. And I have to step back outside of myself and say, let me look at this person, because this person could just very well be hurt. So I'm gonna look and I'm gonna just breathe. But if I see the intentionality where I have to protect myself because you're trying to hurt me, that's one thing. But if I, as an adult, I can step back and just look at the situation for what it is, just be silent. And you continue in your controlling, loving manner. I can't say it's easy all the time. But if you can control you and understand that you have more to lose by responding that way, or fire and fire together, you're gonna always create a bigger fire, right? I can never see where two fires create something calm. You will never see that unless it's meant. The energy has to be there. But I had to learn by experiences that how terrible is wisdom that gains no profit to a man or woman that is wise. If you are wise, then you will know how to conduct yourself and understand that everybody's not on the same level. And you have to step back. And if it's not for you, you walk away, because that too is love. I have to love you enough to say, I got to walk away. Kindness is walking away. When you know a person is just not going to change, you walk. And they will see by the fact that you can argue by yourself, but you won't argue with me. I've been there. I know what it's going to turn out to be. I turn that chapter. I'm in a whole other book, baby. You got to keep reading. Love is like a concrete rose. When you think it's over, it's not. I'm there. I'm going to be there Wait for it. Just wait. Here she comes. Love is not having any other option but to never give up on yourself. That's love. Love is to say, I may cry, but damn it, I ain't quitting. That's love. You gotta love yourself first. And when you love yourself first, before the earth beneath your feet becomes the roof above your head, you better give it everything you got. Because you don't have a right to quit. You don't. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're great.
I just love myself. I get up every morning and say, I'm gonna plant my own garden rather than wait for somebody to bring me flowers. That's love. And when you
That's
can love
awesome.
yourself,
I love that. I'm going to plant my own garden rather than waiting. Love
you
it.
got it. That's extra. I live with myself every day. And if I'm waiting on your validation, then that validation is for cars. I love me first. And if I love me, then I can see I gotta give you grace because I'm not perfect either. I gotta love you. I don't have to love you to the point where ooh, ooh, ooh. I gotta love you because while we bleed the same, we breathe the same. If something happens, I gotta help you because it's my responsibility to not let you fall by the wayside. That's love.
That's beautiful.
Do you
It's
know
love.
how amazing? So I can guess that I'm older than you.
No, you're
And-
not. No, you're
Oh,
not.
yeah. But I didn't learn to love myself until I was in my 50s.
You did.
But I
But you-
did.
Absolutely.
And it changed my life. I mean, we don't spend enough time with children talking to what Alan said earlier. Love is not a conversation that you talk to kids about because the fear, the teacher's fear, the parents' fear, oh, you're going to teach them something I don't believe. How can I teach you love and you be upset about that? How can I teach you to put yourself first? And I don't mean selfish from the ego perspective, but from the essence that you have value and that you are worthy. I have many clients that come in all different ages and they have no self-worth. Their worth is their job. Their worth is their title. They know they're loved if they do a good deliverable or if they make their boss happy. And that is just so backwards. But we don't spend enough time in childhood saying, you are loved for you. Just you.
Yeah.
So good on you, Shaq. My thing doesn't do that heart thing, but I wanted to do that boom heart.
Yeah, bring yours up. Bring yours up.
There we go.
So good.
Hearing PJ talk about children, I'd love to share this story with you. So I have a grandson and two granddaughters. He's 4 3/4, and I wanted to play ValuesJam with him. This is a card game, and of course, the ValuesJam cards, there are some words that are quite big words like fulfillment. So how on earth is a 4 3/4-year-old going to know those? So I thought, what shall I do? And I decided to go through that. Well, I explained to him that there's this deck of cards. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through them and we're going to make 2 piles. One pile is words you know, and the other pile is words you don't know. And that's absolutely fine. So he was like, okay, yeah, we can do this. So we did that. And we had a smaller pile of words that he did know and a bigger pile of words that he didn't know. And then I said to him, okay, now we're going to look at them in pairs, two at a time. And you've got to choose your favorite card of the 2. So imagine me showing him excitement and family. So which is your favorite, Jacob? And we went through it until we got him down to his 3 favorite cards. And they were love, kindness, and beauty.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then I said to him, and this is really weird that we're having this conversation now, but I said, Jacob, can you tell me, what does love mean to you? What does it mean? And he just looked at me and he said, no, I don't know what it means. And then I said, okay, that's okay. What is it that you do for people that you love? And he said, I hug them. Isn't that beautiful?
Kindness, love in action. Right there.
And then just sorry, moving on, the other point, I think PJ started to talk about work as well and her clients. And it makes me wonder whether our work environment that we've created is actually one of the main reasons why we sometimes struggle to understand where the love is, because in a workplace environment, certainly in my career, there is absolutely no focus on any love whatsoever. It's all about performance and almost a kind of machine management approach rather than a human-centered approach. So I'd be curious what people's experience of work is and how relevant you think that is to this topic of love.
I think it's absolutely relevant. And I'm going to be talking on the 22nd to a bunch of executives about love. I'm going to be having a conversation with about it, because if you think about it, if you really want to bring the best out in your people, you have to lead with kindness. And what is kindness? It's, like I said, it's love delivered. If you really want, if you lead with kindness, you think about it, that's how you can bring out the best in your people. That's when you're going to be able to have success. You look at the organizations truly where leaders are spoken of in I don't want to sound religious or anything, but tones of reverence, tones of appreciation. Are those leaders are the ones that are the leaders where the people know they care about them. And in today's world, where we hear about concerns about the Great Resignation, the high turnover, people going to work and doing the bare minimum and other stuff like that. How do you reverse that? How do you change that? How do you make that, bring those things, put those things, flip them on their head? Well, are there behaviors that are conducive to incentivizing people to want to work harder, to want to stay loyal, to want to, give their best? And of course there are, and you say, okay, let's identify those behaviors. And every one of those behaviors, I can guarantee you, falls under the realm of showing value and appreciation for people. And that's what's gonna, that's what's gonna bring the success to the CEO, to the executives, to any business, or any organization. Whether that's focused on today as much as it should be, it's not. But again, conversations like this are with people who, good people who are working with either organizations or entrepreneurs that are starting organizations. It's the right place to get the conversation started so that they can start thinking about, okay, what can I do differently in order to be able to make workplaces better?
Randy, I'd like to see how you gonna hold up in the meeting, because you
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
right. For me, I would say not only is it kindness, it's understanding yourself, because a lot of times we don't really see the direct connection to something bad has happened to us. So it's having a love and appreciation for yourself, and say, work-life balance for me. If I know that I have issues, if you appreciate your employees because you appreciate yourself, if your whole regimen, your daily regimen starts out, well, I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to take some time to breathe, I'm going to do some yoga, whatever it is to start your day. Because the first thing you should start out in the morning for me is breathe, give grace, give honor. Take some time, because the rest of the day won't even be yours, because it's going to be people you serve. So you got to serve yourself first. And when you can serve yourself first, everything else falls into place. And then the same practice that you give, you can implement it with your employees. Take some time. Let's just have a big power. Let's have a talk, and that will give people the understanding. Okay, well, he or she really is human. Because a lot of times people think that CEOs and bosses, they're not human. They have no emotions or anything. If a CEO or a chief operating officer can say, let's just talk about it. Let's just be real. Let's just be real for a moment. I have issues, and we don't have to dive into the to the core of it. Let's just be real. Let's be human. How you feel? I feel, well, let's change this. It's not changing the motive or the overall business plan. It's just allowing people to say, I need some assistance because my insurance ain't covered my, my mental well-being. In order to have people feel like they're validated without having to say, well, I need to have a good job or certificate to show my worth. That's not worth. That's showing how you've actually benefited the company. But when you go home at night, still feel sad and empty. You want to cry. Love for me starts, I think it was Mr. Allen. He said his grandbabies, the word child stands for copying how I live daily. That is the acronym for child. So if you, and children, and I had to bring this up, they're sponges. They are sponges. So the words you say, they may not have known because it was too big. I promise you they would have figured it out, because it's not what you say to them, it's how you continue to do the things over and over and over again. They start to pick up on it. It's called copying how I live daily. That's what child stands for. So I promise you, they're sponges. They will learn, just like we learn by repetition as well. So when you learn that people treat themselves, they give themselves shortness, they don't give themselves enough time, they won't give it to you either. So it's just about, I'm gonna land my mic, but it's just about practicing and being understanding to the next person. Everybody has issues. Try to implement those at time into the space so that they can feel appreciated as well.
I just want to add into that. I mean, you all have said a lot of my favorite words like kindness and grace. And I want to add respect. And I know you brought that up with one of the earlier conversations. Respect. I've worked in a lot of different environments, and in the manufacturing environment, especially, where you're working with people on the receiving dock, the manufacturing floor, but then you're also walking into the CEO's office and you're talking amongst all levels. But when you treat each level with respect and listen to what their needs are, what their contributions are, and you don't become a credit whore. Like, I don't need all the credit, because the credit is we did this, and when we fail, and how are we going to get better? And we stop the finger pointing, and we stop, I call it pedestals and prisons. So I loved when, you talked about the pedestal. We don't need to put people in pedestals and prisons. What we need to do is listen and respect and value each person for who they are and what their needs are as well in getting the job done. That is grace. That is respect. That is kindness in action. And all of those together are love.
Well, Susan, I think that was a really neat summary, and can kind of segue us into bringing this Values Jam to a close. And there's one more little piece of work that I've got for you, for us to close with, and that is just to think about, between now and Valentine's Day next week, what are you encouraged to do differently about love? And in any particular order. So if you're an extrovert and a fast thinker, then please feel free to go first. And if you need a little bit more time, then do take that time. And then we'll hear from each person in turn.
Will you say that repeat that one more time, Alan?
So what are you encouraged to do differently about love? And in honor of Valentine's Day next week, what are you encouraged to do differently before that date, the 14th?
Okay, so I'm going to jump in. Not surprising, right? So the notes that I took, okay, one of the things that Shaq said about understanding the level that people are at, right? The level that they're used to love. And she also talked about conditional, and the condition to be loved or not to be loved. I like both of those so I post daily on LinkedIn, and I wanted to do something different around love. I'm always a very positive, love is this, think about it this way. But I think I'd like to maybe write something a little bit more on just because you're at a more loving level than someone else doesn't mean that they should not receive your love, because they are right where they need to be to receive that love. So it's just looking at it differently, instead of saying, why isn't everyone loving? Understanding where people are and the conditions that have impacted their experience with love. So it's writing to a different direction. This is what the conversation has brought up for me.
Brilliant. Thank you, PJ. I've got mine as well, actually, and so in the morning, my bedroom is dual aspect. So the sun comes up on one side and it goes down on the other side. It's a lovely room in the mornings, and so already I kind of feel good when I wake up. But Shaq's going to encourage me tomorrow morning to take that big, deep breath for me.
Nice.
I think it's good I was going to say something along the same lines. It's a good reminder that part of I wrote a book called The Kindness Giver's Formula, and my first step in my formula, which I try to practice all the time, but sometimes even as the author and the promoter of it, I don't do as well as I ought to. And that's the first thing is every day look in the mirror and say, I'm going to be a kindness giver today. I'm gonna be a kindness giver. I'm gonna look for opportunities to give kindness and remind myself two things. One, I can be a kindness giver, and two, by doing so, I can make a difference in people's lives. So,
Yeah.
You want to go first? I have a little passage that I read to myself every morning. Is it okay if I read it?
Yeah, love it.
From birth to earth, we spend a lifetime searching for our purpose for the air that we breathe, roaming aimlessly with the hopes that somewhere along this path that we call life, we will reach our own individual destinations. And although our number one goal is to be different, one thing remains the same. We all struggle looking outwards for inner peace. And a common practice in our search for purpose is being someone else's savior, with the expectations of equal or greater reciprocity. This is what we call catering with conditions, a transactional pull, if you will, the idea that we possess the ability to conclude and simplify someone else's issues with whom we've spent little to no substantial time with, the day in and day out. We're never absent of our physical bodies, but we lack the physical, emotional, and intellectual mental intelligence to quantify the depths of our own doubt and the pressures and purpose of our own pain and the strength in our stress, rendering the notion that we all need to learn how to do better. So with that being stated, be kind to yourself first. You come first. We all come first, just like when you're on a plane and it's about to go down, they say cover your face first, and then you save others. If you are sick, you can't help anybody. And this is no reflection of you, Mr. Rand, because I think you're the sweetest guy in the world. You're so sweet, and I would like to be a fly on the wall when you give that speech to the executives. I really would, because I would like to see how that goes.
well,
Being
I'm going to
kind
be putting out an advertisement. You can come if you want to.
Okay, I'll be there. Let me know where it is. I'm a motivational speaker as well, so I do this. I love doing this. But I also like to be kind to myself and be real with myself and say, I am worth it. I am worth it to take time for myself, and whatever you need to do to take out, by all means, I encourage it. For me, I got to take time for me first, and then I can cater to you.
Thanks, Shaq. And Susan.
I think for me, of course, my mantra, know your value, live your values. that came through pain, but it is the self-love that I show and that I offer for other people. I want them to also know their value and live their values. What will I do differently though? I think of my kids and I think of, we all feel our love language is different. I know there's that whole thing. And, you know, like my oldest daughter's love language is different than mine, which is, and we're all different. There's 4 kids and my husband and I, but between now and then, I want to cater a little bit more to their love language and make sure that they feel love the way they need to feel loved. And if I can do anything to change that, that is what I will try to do.
Great. Thank you, Susan. And I said at the beginning of this call that I felt privileged to be talking about this topic, and I have loved this conversation, guys. So thank you so much. And I can feel my heart actually. It's kind of not beating fast, but it feels like it's big, and it's a good feeling. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for hosting this, Alan.